Hi, Leah here from Clarence Media, and today we're having a chat with Kashmir Miller. Kashmir is running for the Greens in the upcoming federal election. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Leah, for having me here.
No, that's okay. That's great. And so firstly, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how and why you got into politics?
Sure. So I've lived in Page for my whole life. I was born here and I went to public schools in Lismore, and I'm now a student at Southern Cross University, where I'm in my final year of my law degree with honours. And I got into politics at a pretty early age when I was around 11 or 12 because there was a lot of movement in Lismore around the threat of coal seam gas coming to our area. And there were a lot of people who were really dissatisfied by the Abbott government at the time and the choices that they were making and how they were impacting our environment around the Page electorate and the environment in general, and how this threat of coal seam gas was affecting us as well. And I went to a protest in Lismore and there were thousands of people there, and they were all saying things like, we've got to think about our children's futures. We've got to act for them because this government is not acting. And that really struck with me there as a child, because I was the kid that they were all afraid for. So that was obviously really scary. And I started paying a lot more attention to politics at that point, because I was confused as to why the government wasn't acting in our best interest and in the future's best interest. And then I realized, because there's a lot of kind of dark underbelly to politics, and particularly around kind of corruption and political donations and things like that. So I kept being engaged, and I became engaged with the Greens because they were the party that were fighting the hardest to stop this and fighting the hardest to get good, honest policies that put the people and the environment first into politics. And I was involved with many elections along the way, including federal, state, and local government. And it just felt like a natural progression to start now, even though I am younger than what some people might think a politician should be. I think that's a superpower for me, because a lot of the decisions that are being made are going to be impacting us for decades longer, which means that our young people are going to be facing them. And I think that they need a voice in Parliament.
Yes, I was thinking about asking you about your age, being the youngest in our area, but you've pretty much covered that. And I suppose some of that might lead into the next question. What's been the reaction of your community to you running?
My community in Lismore has been really supportive. I don't think that many people in Lismore that are engaged with local politics were surprised, because I have just been around for so long. I don't think anybody was shocked particularly.
Yep.
There has been some people who are more hesitant because of my age, but once they talk to me and get to know me and hear about my background and my vision for Page, I have been pretty successful at turning people around quickly, which is good. And yeah, and it's been really lovely to travel around to the areas of our electorate that I don't visit as often as I would like to, such as Woolgoolga and Grafton and Kyogle and Casino. So I've been getting to meet so many great people, and people have been really lovely and willing to hear what I have to say, which I've been really happy with.
Yeah, thank you for coming over to the Meet the Candidates the other evening. It was great that we could get you and all 10 candidates there. It was really good.
Yeah, I was so happy to finally have everybody in the same room and meet everyone.
Okay, the next one can be political or not, either or. What is your greatest achievement?
I think that my greatest achievement for me is the fact that I have been able to prove myself continuously when things keep coming up in my life, such as during this election, I have still stayed at uni full time, and was able to submit 4 assignments within 1 week while running a campaign, and with COVID at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
I think that was a really big achievement. So I've been really proud of myself through this election for keeping up with that. And of course, I'm almost finished my uni. So once I get into Parliament, I won't have to worry about that anymore. And I've been really happy that I've been able to be a leader in my university community through law associations, and I was really proud to win a Student of the Year award in 2021 for my contributions to the university. And my biggest contribution and achievement, I think, is when I hear from young people that they are really happy to have somebody who they can relate to and who is thinking about their future and the future of the climate, and that fills them with a bit of hope. And from older people as well, who are happy that there is somebody who is thinking about the future for their children and grandchildren. And that always feels like a huge achievement.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. And there goes one of your cats wandering across the screen before that you mentioned.
Yeah, I know. They've got a bit of an attachment issue. They haven't been happy with me going away so much lately.
Oh dear. Now back to politics. Past or present, who do you admire in politics?
Oh, I'm so lucky to have very many answers to this question. I have huge inspirations in the political world. My biggest one, probably Sue Higginson, another Lismore local who's in New South Wales Parliament for her first week this week, who's been an amazing inspiration as a real advocate for the environment and for social justice. And also Vanessa Ekins, who was the first Greens mayor last year, who's been a really big supporter of me in my journey as well. And on the larger scale, Maureen Faruqi, who's one of our New South Wales senators. She is an immigrant and she is the first engineer in the New South Wales Parliament. And she's been fighting for animal rights really hard in both New South Wales and federal Parliament. So yeah, in the Greens, we've got just a plethora of strong, powerful women that are fighting for justice and fighting for what's right. So that's been a real driver in my journey, having them at my side.
Okay, yes, some excellent mentors. And so what is your favourite Greens policy?
My favourite Greens policy would have to be to stop, it's not a very exciting one, but it's my favourite because it's just the most logical, is stopping coal and gas subsidies, because it is such a drain on our economy to be giving them this subsidy so that 1 in 3 major corporations haven't paid any tax last year, and coal and gas corporations are profiting while we are suffering in so many areas from climate change. So I think that one is just the most obvious, I think, and that other parties don't seem to be pushing for, as it's so important. That it's something like $13 billion in coal and gas subsidies last year that could be put into public housing, public schools, and our hospitals, so that our nurses and aged care workers can have proper wages and proper rights, and so that we can invest it into transitioning into renewables so that we don't need to rely on coal and gas anymore. So I would say that's my favourite.
Yep. Excellent. And so what is your vision for Page?
My vision for Page is, well, obviously our electorate is quite wide, so there's sort of many little micro visions in there, but overall for our electorate, I want to see us having a thriving economy that is not reliant on fossil fuels, and that we can use our beautiful natural resources in a way that benefits the people, the community, and the planet, and our natural biodiversity. So that includes things like, obviously, no mining in the Clarence catchment, as that's a huge threat to our waterways and our agriculture, because the Clarence Valley has such an amazing agricultural and ecotourism industry that I see really thriving. And I think that that's what the government should be investing in, more so than trying to develop mining companies and mining projects in the Clarence catchment. So I want to see a government that really prioritises that. In Lismore, I want to see, and all across Page, but especially in Lismore, where I live, I want to see investment into the arts, because we are so lucky in the Northern Rivers to have a thriving arts scene and many incredible artists that the government at the moment don't value the arts. They have cut funding from arts, both in projects and in training for the arts. I've lived through this as I went and studied arts, and in the classes above me could get HECS and youth allowance, and the government cut all of that and cut the funding so badly that now the school that I went to can't even get accredited anymore. So they've lost that under this government. So I want to see investments into the arts and the arts projects, and a minimum fee for artists of $250 for public government funded projects that creates employment. And for Page, I want to see support for small businesses as well, to support in our pandemic and disaster recovery. So that looks like investments in tourism, that people can come and visit our area and support our small businesses, and also in creating events that people will come to in our area as well. And yeah, so many different things across, but I think that we need to put our people first, think about our pandemic recovery, and do these things in a way that benefits the environment as well.
Yep. And what do you think the greatest challenge facing the people of Page is?
At the moment, I would say affordable housing would have to be the biggest one, and it's the one that I've heard about the most throughout my time in this election, but also before that and before the floods and the disasters, because we were already in an affordable housing crisis. And now it's even worse. People are having to move away from their homes and their families and their jobs. I've just seen many friends in the last couple of days actually have to move to Queensland because they can't afford to live in the Northern Rivers anymore, which I find to be really sad, and definitely our biggest struggle at the moment for so many. So that's one of my main policies for this election is affordable housing, and making sure that if I was in Parliament, to prioritise the Northern Rivers and really push for us and push for the funding for public housing that people can afford in Parliament.
Yep. And if you're elected, what does the future of Page look like?
The future of Page looks like somewhere that people from all across the country and all across the world want to come. And that includes young people. I really see a future for Page where young people just leaving high school and beyond don't feel like they have to move away to the big cities to get a job, to have a sense of community, to have a sense of fun. So I want to see it as somewhere that young people can thrive and have amazing communities that they can connect with. And the same for all generations, that I want it to be somewhere that people are excited to live, where there's a thriving industries for ecotourism and agriculture and renewable energies. I want to see renewable energies jobs created in our area so that people can work here and make a sustainable long-term living. So I think that we have everything at the disposal in Page for that. We have all of the opportunities to make it somewhere that people want to live and people want to visit, and that we can create homes for everybody and make it an affordable place to live as well, because the cost of living is just rising, not only here, but everywhere. So yeah, my vision for Page is I'm really excited about the possibilities, because the Greens have been developing these policies for 30 years. We've costed all of this. We know what we're doing. So I'm really confident in my vision for Page if I was elected.
Excellent. And if people want to know more about you, the Greens, or your policies, where can they find out more information?
So you can find me on Facebook at Kashmir Miller, Greens for Page, or you can find me on Instagram at Kashmir for Page. And you can also just Google my name, Kashmir Miller, the Greens, and you'll come up with my website on the New South Wales Greens, which has a link to volunteer and also a link to contact me.
Yep. Okay, wonderful. So before we go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm just hoping that everybody is watching these interviews, and if they've got this far, then that's awesome that people are engaging with politics. I think that this election in particular, people are really dissatisfied by the government and they're wanting to connect with their local candidates and really engage. So I'm really happy about that, because the best vote is definitely an educated vote.
Yep. Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks for your time today, and good luck on the 21st.
Thank you so much.